Welcome to Arbitrary Forms Studio. I'm Robert Milnes, the artist at this space, and come on in. I want to show you how I make pieces and talk a little bit in this video about the studio and the materials and processes that take place there. Arbitrary Forms Studio is a ceramic studio. I sometimes work with other materials here, but really this is a ceramic studio. And so as you look around the building, you'll see pieces and tools, and it's arranged. This was an old two-bedroom apartment that was recreated as a studio. You're looking at a throwing area with the electric wheel. You'll see an extruder next to it that will be set up in the middle of the room. That's another processing part. Over here, this is a work table, but also a reclamation area where I reprocess clay. Over here, a slab roller that just goes up against the wall when it's not in use. More clay tools. Anybody familiar with a kitchen will recognize a lot of these tools. This is a work area, a work table with a canvas cover to help release the clay. Over here, another work table that I use mostly for storage or just putting pieces out of the way when I'm working on something else. Another storage area. In between up on the wall is a glaze test area, and that's a very important part of the studio. I use about 8 or 9 cone 04 slips and about the same number of glazes in various combinations, and so when I'm glazing pieces, it's really helpful to have the color chart out in front of me. So the rest of the studio is, well, there's a bathroom here, but I've created a new feature in the bathroom, which is a clay trap, by putting a double filtered system so that when I rinse off tools, glazes, whatever, they go into a bucket which then filters into a second container before things go down the drain, which helps really well. I use that hose as my basic wash-off unit both in and outside. Then in this room, this is the kiln room, and the kiln room was an old bedroom. We've remodeled it. You'll see it's lined with a refractory material so that it reflects heat back in. It has 2 electric kilns. These are computer-controlled kilns. I generally fire to cone 06 and 04 for my sculptural pieces. That means around 1824 to 1954 degrees Fahrenheit. Or I'll fire to cone 6, about 2100 and some degrees, for some of the functional wear that I do. All of my rooms serve a couple of purposes. So this is also the area where I store plaster molds that I use for shaping parts. These are the kiln stilts and furniture, so that when you fire kilns, a lot of times you'll put shelves in the kiln so that you can stack multiple pieces. So this kiln, the electric kiln, this one's a Scud, this was an L&L. They're great pieces of equipment. The wonderful things that have happened in ceramics lately are mostly technical. You know, things like computer controls on kilns. It saves potters staying up all night. There are things in materials, blankets, refractory blankets and things that really help. And more recent tools like 3D printers that enable ceramists to make shapes that they've never been able to do before. I work in 3 basic hand building techniques that I'll talk about in another video: coiling, slab rolling, press molding, and then I also work with extruding, both with hand and power extruders, as a way of shaping the clay. So the studio is set up for those processes. Today, when you saw it, it's set up for a series of demonstrations. Normally, I will do one thing at a time, you know, and I will make like 40 or 50 throne pieces, or 20 to 60 extruded and hand-built parts, and then I make objects out of all those parts. The cycle can take 3 months to finish a piece, but today we're going to go through that very quickly in a series of videos that will include making parts, assembling parts, finishing and carving the parts, and then glazing them and getting them ready to fire. Thank you.